To start, I'm a male, and was maybe 9 years old when this happened. My family and I were in the middle of a great family road trip in the American Southwest. While we were driving through Colorado, we all needed to go to the bathroom and stretch our legs, so we decided to stop at the nearest gas station. We had just visited the Grand Canyon, so this tiny gas station that we stopped at shortly afterwards was pretty much in the middle of nowhere. At this point, neither my parents nor my two brothers were in any hurry to get back into the car for another day of driving through the desert. So after we had done our business, my parents stayed inside the gas station to look at food and enjoy the free air conditioning, leaving my brothers and I to walk around the parking lot and stretch our legs. As I said before, this gas station was in the middle of nowhere, so I had assumed that we were the only ones there. But boy was I wrong. I came to discover we weren't alone after wandering away from the storefront to the side of the building, where I saw a blue sedan parked but still running in the farthest spot away from me. I gave it a passing glance and assumed the car was owned by tourists like us. I kicked rocks against the wall of the building for a while, not really paying attention to the car, until I eventually heard the sound of feet running toward me. I looked up to see a wild-haired man who kind of looked like Andrew WK, making a beeline from the car to me, all while making eye contact with me the entire time. I will never forget the wild look in his eyes, or the way his stare caused me to completely freeze up and grip the wall of the building as if the world had flipped upside down and I was at risk of falling off. I was only a little kid, and I didn't really understand what was going on. But I knew that this man could hurt me and was coming right at me. I experienced a weird sensation where everything happened so fast, but at the same time, I felt as though everything was moving at half speed. As I stood there frozen to the wall of the gas station, the wild-eyed man took what seemed like an eternity to finally reach me. As soon as he was within reaching distance from me, my heartbeat quickened as I braced myself for whatever was about to happen. It was at the climax of that moment when I felt a hand grab my shoulder from behind, breaking me out of the trance I was under. It was my brother grabbing me to tell me our parents were done browsing the snacks at the gas station and that we were about to pack the car up again and leave. It was at that moment when my brother rounded the corner that caused the man to change his route at the last minute and run right past us. The man ran a lap around the parking lot and then hauled ass back to the running car he had come from and peeled out of the parking lot as fast as he could. It seemed as if no one in my family, not even my brother who had grabbed me, had noticed the man or the car at all. As his blue sedan drove into the desert, I shrugged it off and piled back into the minivan, and we went on our way as if nothing happened. I was so young that I didn't even think to mention it to my family. This story takes place in 2005. I was 12 years old at the time. My family wanted to take a vacation, and my mom and ex-stepdad decided it would be fun to take a cruise along the California coast with my 3 younger siblings and myself. As our ship made its way under the Golden Gate Bridge, my mom and I stood out on her balcony to see San Francisco and the ocean beyond us. On the balcony to the right of her, a teenage boy emerged, presumably to take in the same views we were. My mom gave him a polite hello when they made awkward eye contact, and he struck up a conversation with her. I wasn't paying attention at first, but then I heard him ask my mom, "Do you have any sisters?" I saw him peer over at me, clearly taking interest. Me, being a shy 12-year-old, tried to hide from his gaze behind my mother's side. My mom joked that she had 2 sisters, but that they're probably much too old for him. They exchanged some polite small talk after that, which I didn't listen to, instead taking in the view of the sunset over San Francisco and the Pacific. We went about our separate ways for the evening. Over the next couple of days, we always seemed to be running into this boy and his family. My mother is an extremely friendly person, so she would always talk with him. His parents seemed nice enough. The boy would always look at me intensely. By that point in my life, I was still developing my first crushes on boys in school. I sure as hell didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what his fixation on me implied, just that it made me feel as if he was seeing right through me. I avoided his stares by staying near my siblings, almost out of instinctive protectiveness. On the 5th day of our trip, my mom came in and said this boy wanted to meet and hang out with us. She said his name was Asher. I thought he was weird and didn't really want to, but I was always taught to give people the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps my discomfort was me being judgmental, I thought. I reluctantly agreed, and eventually, he was in our hotel room. My mom gave me this smile and raised her eyebrows as if she was playing matchmaker. Then she went into her room, which was connected to ours. Asher was very odd right off the bat, and immediately, my siblings and I were extremely uncomfortable. We were watching Scary Godmother on Cartoon Network, and I awkwardly asked if he wanted to watch something else. He probably thought our cartoons were stupid. He said that he didn't mind, as long as he got to talk to me. My eldest brother, who was 10 at the time, immediately picked up on my body language and what he said, so he joined in the conversation to put me at ease. Asher had an accent. I couldn't tell if he was foreign or if it was a speech impediment. A lot of what he said I couldn't quite pick up on, and he would sometimes lean over to me and say something quietly that, although I couldn't hear or understand, I knew I didn't like it. We spent the next while making awkward small talk about school, and he told me about his graduation coming up next summer. I asked if he was graduating junior high. No, he meant high school. He then revealed to me that he would be turning 18 that December. Sirens immediately started going off in my head, and then he hands me a note that he said he had written for me earlier. With my hand shaking, I open a note that reads, "I love you. You're hot." I guess my brother saw the note from over my shoulder and went over to our parents' room. Then came back in and said, "Hey, our parents said we gotta go to dinner." Asher took that as his cue to leave, but told me he loves me one more time before his exit. I gave him a shaky, okay? My brother went to make sure I was okay, and told me he had only pretended to go to our parents' room because he didn't want to get our mom in trouble with our ex-stepdad for inviting him. I know this logic seems weird, but remember, we were just kids. I was trembling and silent for a while. I didn't really understand what had happened. All I knew was that I felt violated and confused. We later told our mom what happened, and she looked extremely guilty. She thought he was younger and that he had good intentions. She thought it would be a good idea for me to meet friends closer to my age because I was stuck babysitting all the time. It turned out, for some dumb reason, my mother had given him our home phone number before he had hung out with us. I was livid but too timid to speak up. I'd managed to avoid Asher for the rest of our trip, aside from on the loading docks on the final day. He said goodbye, that he loved me, and he'd call me every day. He left before I could tell him not to. When we got back, he called almost every week for 4 months after that, leaving strange and cryptic messages on our answering machine. Every time we'd block his number, he would manage to call from a new one. I had accidentally picked up a couple of times, not knowing it was him, and would immediately hang up, only for him to call 3 more times and leave the same strange messages. After about a year, he finally gave up and stopped calling. So, Asher from the cruise, I may be old enough for you now, but please, let's never ever meet again. In the mid-90s, my parents took my older brother and I on vacation to Cancun, Mexico, when we were teenagers. Me being a 13-year-old girl, and my brother being 18. My brother and I shared a room, and he was old enough to go out to the bars, leaving me alone in the room to watch movies and be bored out of my mind. My parents wanted to hang out with us the whole time, but we were too cool and tried to distance ourselves from them as much as possible. I was mature for my age, had previously had some underage drinks with friends, and felt that I was old and cool enough to go to the downtown bars of Cancun. When I asked my brother if I could join him, he laughed at me and told our parents, so I was bitter that I was stuck back in my room, or worse, forced to hang with my folks. On the third or fourth day into our vacation, I was sitting at one of the hotel bars, nursing a Shirley Temple and feeling sorry for myself. A woman, nicely dressed, in her mid to late 20s, sat down next to me and we started chatting. I don't remember the details of what we talked about. I just remember her being really interested in what I had to say, and she made me feel like I was really mature for my age. Basically, what every 13-year-old craved. We made arrangements to meet at the resort bar the next day to hang out some more. The next day, we met in the resort lounge at lunchtime and hung out. She listened to my stories about how BS it was that I couldn't go out drinking, and sympathizing, she offered to give me alcoholic drinks. 13-year-old me just wanted screwdrivers. Fucking yuck. After 3 or 4, I was getting pretty drunk, and this is when she asked me if I wanted to go back to her room to hang out and watch a movie. Drunk 13-year-old me thought this was a great idea, as I was going to get more booze, and this cool 20-something chick wanted to hang out with me. Just as we were leaving the lounge, my mom appears. She was meeting my dad at the pool. My mom doesn't know what's going on, and thinks I'm heading back to the hotel room. Drunk me proudly introduces my new friend to my mom, telling her we're going back to this woman's room to watch a movie. My mom's face goes from, "Hi, how's it going?" to "Get your fucking ass up to your room right now." My mom tells my new friend that she has no business inviting 13-year-olds back to her room, and that she's not to talk to me again, or my mom will call the cops. At that moment, I was so angry with my mom, but she had that "don't fuck with me" look, so I knew I had to keep my mouth shut. The next day, I was heading out to the pool, and I saw that woman sitting at the bar with 2 men who appeared to be in their late 50s, who I can only describe as menacingly scary. She pointed at me, and one of the men glared, while the other winked. It sent shivers down my spine. This happened to a friend of my mother's relatives. A family of 4, Arturo the dad, Maria the mom, Eduardo the son, and Ana the daughter, who happen to be extremely beautiful. They live in Mexico City, but as is common for upper middle to upper class families, they went to spend a long weekend in Acapulco, a vacation spot that, frankly, has seen better days, as it was overshadowed by Cancun in the 80s. Acapulco has recently been the focus of gang-related warfare, since homegrown gangs refused to cede territory to the powerful Sinaloa cartel. This inconvenience, however, did not completely stop the flow of tourists to the once gorgeous, now decadent port, and didn't stop Arturo and his family, something that they would later regret enormously. The family was dining in a restaurant next to the sea, enjoying the delicious seafood, when the waiter, clearly nervous, came to the table with a bottle of expensive champagne and a note. "This is from those gentlemen over there," he said, pointing at a table where 4 men sat, that you could just tell at first glance were narcos, wearing gold chains, rings, and the like, and drinking Johnny Walker Blue Label. Arturo unfolded the note and read, "This is for you to have a toast with your daughter, as this is the last night you will ever see her. Arturo got up, left 1,000 pesos on the table for the meal, and went straight back to the hotel, where, in terror, they packed their bags and left immediately. Along the way to Mexico City, there are several desolate stretches where all you can see is desert and maybe some misshapen little houses or a gas station. Arturo stopped the car at one of those gas stations to fill up. As he was filling up, 2 cars suddenly pulled into the gas station, one parking in front and one behind the family's car. They had been followed. Several men exited the vehicles and pointed AR-15s at the family. They had come to honor their word, and they came for Ana. According to Arturo, there are few worse feelings than being powerless as you watch your daughter, screaming and kicking, being dragged into a car, which then sped away over the horizon, never to be seen again.